everybody. So I just did 3 sessions in a row. So I did a session Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, normally this is not, let's say, recommended to beginners especially, but it's usually not recommended because you need time to integrate. You need a time and space where the process can unfold itself, and it can be, let's say, gone through, digested. Because if you don't have that time, if you go to a session and the next day you have to work, you're all involved with people, you may feel a bit of out of touch with yourself, and you may lose yourself in the external world again, and that will like prolong your process a little bit, because you need to stay with yourself. Of course, if you are already very grounded, if you're very in touch with your feelings, because this is all about being in touch with your feelings, being in your body. If you are, if that's easy for you, if that comes naturally for you, it's no problem. But sometimes things can come up, emotions, themes from the past, traumas, or you might have a new sense of direction or a new realization or dynamic towards people, things, events, whatever. And you have to learn to navigate that. So in the beginning, it's advisable to do one session every 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week. Most people do one session every 2-3 weeks. I did one every week. And as you get used to it, you get used to the energy. And what might actually happen also is sometimes at home, when you're doing breath work or you're just lying down or you're meditating, you might actually have like the same kind of activation from the KAP session. The kundalini energy might be active, and you might have almost the same like kind of experiences, movements or visions, or sensations, or energy releasing, shifting. You might experience that. I've had that. Like, I remember there was a period after doing it for a while, I had suddenly, for a week straight, every time that it was 10 o'clock, I felt like there was something in me moving, and I had to stop everything that I was doing and just sit still, and the energy was coming up, and unveiling visions about a person, visions about a connection, visions about a future, a possibility. And I just had to allow it to unveil and feel it, feel what it means, feel the experience of it. And you, like, if you resist it, it's as if you're constricting the pipe where the energies were trying to go through, because it wants to show you something, it wants to unveil or reveal something to you. So that might happen. Also, sometimes what I noticed was, sometimes I would do an unconscious pattern. I would be involved in doing something unconscious, and before I would do it, there would be like this sudden shock, and like I would feel the energy be very active in me, and like I would almost like get a thought that was like, no, don't do this. This is not for you. And you have everybody has a conscious, like their, how do you call it? A healthy conscious. Like, what's the right thing to do, what's the most suitable thing to do, but sometimes you don't do it anyway, right? But in that moment, it's like it's energized, and you feel like the energy is trying to, like, no, go away from here. I've had it a couple of times, and it's a very uncanny experience, but you feel like this reverence, like, wow, the energy is leading me, or my soul wants me to make right choices. It doesn't want me to go through this again, through this hell, through this nightmare, through this unconscious pattern. And it's a very uncanny experience. Yeah. So if you're a beginner, try to limit your sessions to 1 time a week, 2 times a week, 2 times, 1 time every 2 weeks, 1 time every 3 weeks, whatever. And you need that time, because during that time, while things are shifting, like your content and your consciousness is shifting, transformations on the outside will occur, and it needs time to manifest. It needs time to rearrange. It needs time to be acted upon, right? And to see and to relate to it and to understand where you were, where you are now, to have that movement from here to there. So, because on an energetic level, it's instantly, but then the 3D world has to follow. And for that, you need integration time. But if you would do a lot of sessions the whole time, it could be very confusing, because all of a sudden you have all these kind of shifts in your consciousness and in your content of consciousness, and you're back in your life, and you may almost feel like a bit strange because you've changed energetically, and you feel like everything is a bit like out of touch, out of place. So you will have a lot to integrate, right? It will, and it can be a lot. The great thing about KAP is it always gives you only what you can handle and are ready for in that specific moment. And the facilitators always tell you that, if you're at a KAP session in a particular group, in a particular setting, in a time and place, you're probably by divine timing supposed to be there. So if you're at a session, trust that you're supposed to be there, and just surrender to it, surrender to the process. Now, after doing 3 days in a row, what I noticed was, it's every day a bit deeper. Every day there's a new layer. So for instance, on Friday, there was a layer about purpose, about my resistance towards purpose, towards submitting myself to my purpose. And my body got very tired because there was a lot of releasing. The second day, it went deeper. It went to the fear of not existing, like the need to do, to be, because there's a fear to not exist. And so I stumbled on that block. And then on the third day, it was on a very raw emotional level, because it was all about embodiment. It was all about how can I love unconditionally without being attached? What is that? What is it like to experience that? To give away the power to other people, to break your heart, to not be afraid of it, because you're not afraid of suffering. You're not afraid of your heart being broken. And just allow yourself to be completely open to receive and completely open to give. It's a very marvelous state. It's beyond description. It's like an infinite space filled with warmth and love and playfulness, and there's just the movement of energy dancing, and you're just a witness to that, and you're just in awe of how pure it is and how non-intentional it is. It doesn't have like human intentions like we do. It just follows its own rhythm, its own cycles, and it has an integrity beyond belief systems, beyond theories, beyond ideas. It just moves as life, right? And wants more life and more life and more life. So every session in those 3 days, a huge part of the things that were in me were touched upon. Some were just brought into my awareness, and some were really like pushed through. And what I noticed, because every time it was with a different facilitator, the way that the issues or the blockages or the false beliefs that were holding those structures intact, the way they were handled, it was very different. One was very direct. One was very, almost like she wanted me to break through. The other one was very, very mellow, very relaxing, very sweet, she gave me time. She just was there for me. And then the other one was complete surrender, complete openness, complete allowance. And it was just being one and dancing as one. It was really tremendous. Like, I so look forward to do a retreat where you do this for a couple of days. Now, as far for integration, I've now got this material, right? I know that there are fears in me, fears to not exist, a fear to step into my purpose fully. So I know now that I have to work with that. So how do I do that? I work with transpersonal coaching, I work with a coach, and I see at the way the structures are built. Why is there fear? What is the underlying belief that is holding that fear? So that the next session, if I am invited or presented with the opportunity to face that structure again, I will be more prepared, because I will be conscious of the validity of the existence of that belief. I will be conscious how it works, how it is constructed, whether it's supposed to be there, it's not supposed to be there. It will be a different experience. I will be relating to it differently. I've had this a couple of times in sessions where something was revealed, I worked with it, and then I had another session and I broke through it. It broke through and it just disappeared, or it just released or transformed into something else. And this is a very liberating experience, because you really feel, in one sense, you feel like you're making a lot of progress, but you also feel that you're in the process of transformation, and it's like you're on this, if I look back at the whole thing, it's like the hero's journey. You know, there's things where, there's moments where you go up, there's moments where you go down, there's moments where you're completely like done with it. There's a lot of different phases in this process, and everybody will have their own process, but it is a hero's journey. It is because it's going from the old to the new, and for the new to be born, the old has to die, or it has to be integrated in a way where it can be new again, it can be fresh again. So doing 3 sessions in a row, it's definitely worth it. But do take the time that you need to integrate, to go deeper, to work with it, because you need to relate with it. You need to psychologically understand it. That's why I always encourage people to share their experience, to write about it or document it like I do, because when you do that, your mind takes the fragmented experience that you've had and it makes them a whole, it makes them a piece, and you can attach context to it and meaning to it, and you can place it. Otherwise, it's just a confusing, it can be a confusing part, or if it's not confusing, because sometimes it is not confusing, it can be a part that is very, let's say, inspirational, or something that you cannot really place, and then it just lingers, and then it becomes a memory and you forget about it. So when you speak it out, you contextualize it, your brain, it maps it out, you give meaning to it, and then you know also by speaking it out what it means for you and what you need to do with it or about it. It's like you're discovering your own truth or your own relationship to it by relating to it, by speaking it out, by digesting it, by expressing it. So I've also had sessions where I've done 2 sessions in a day. So when you do 2 sessions in a day, it's also a very deep experience. With 2 sessions in a day, what happens is, in the morning usually is a session, and that session is going to be really like deep, right? That was my experience. It's either really deep or it's really emotional. And then you have like rest, you maybe eat or you fast. I fast always. And then you have a second session, and that session will be more it will either go deeper, that's what happened with me, or it will be the opposite of that. It will be something completely different, or it can be something more joyful, something more lighter. but usually you go deeper on the thing that was there before, or because you've gone through a certain layer, you go even deeper. And when you sink in deeper, what you discover is a part of you that was there, but that was forgotten about, or that was not in your awareness. And when that part is brought up, it's like your truth, your unconscious truth, or your unconscious belief systems, or things that are buried, are coming out to the foreground, and it's like you're confronted with them. And it's not bad or good. It's just, this is the reality of the thing. This is the state of affairs. And then you can live through that truth. It's like you discover that there was something that you didn't know about, and now you know about it, so now you can work with it, and it's not unconsciously controlling you or manipulating your behavior, because now it's in your consciousness. So doing 2 sessions in a day is very powerful. It's also very courageous, because it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of willingness to dive that deep, to go into that immersive experience. And yeah, you have to feel it for yourself. Are you ready, or are you not? But I would recommend it to you. But always trust your own feeling. Trust your own insights, whether you feel like you need to or you don't need to. And don't listen to me or what I do. Listen to yourself, because your body knows. Your body knows, and intuitively it will let you know whether you need more or less. And take care of yourself. Yeah.